All right, I want to talk a little bit about weight loss maintenance. Weight loss maintenance is probably the most important part of weight loss. I mean, besides losing the weight, of course, it's really nice to lose a lot of weight. But the most important thing is after you've lost the weight, you have to find a sustainable plan in order to keep the weight off. And that's all I've been doing is just figuring out ways, creative ways, fun ways for me to also give me a little bit of variety, a little bit of mixture of this or that from time to time. You know, if I want to have a pizza, I can, because I've gotten to that point where I can kind of manage that. I just can't have it like all the time like I used to, because it was like every other day. I was eating a pizza every other day. But now, since I'm focused on 5 solid days a week of something, so it doesn't matter if I'm doing a fasting practice or I'm doing an eating strategy or maybe a fasting mimicking type strategy where I'm eating nothing but eggs or sardines, for instance, and that provides guaranteed weight loss. I mean, and I could keep doing that over and over again, but at a certain point, you start to get exhausted, which makes things a lot less sustainable. And if what you're doing is not sustainable, then it's not a great idea. It's okay to do that for like 4 or 5 days, but then you got to work on something else afterwards. And going right back to the previous way I used to eat would not be a good idea. Not be a good idea for anybody. Because when I used to eat the standard American diet, you know, the typical, I like to call it the trash diet. You know, a lot of this food is considered not food anymore. I drive by these drive-thrus all the time, you know, like McDonald's, Wendy's, Taco Bell, and I see the line just wrapped around the building, and I'm just like, wow, these people really, they're really desperate. They really think they're hungry. And that's something I learned with a lot of fasting, is that I'm not nearly as hungry as I thought I was. I was out chasing flavors. I was chasing emotions. I was chasing feelings. That's all I was doing, because I'm a gluttonous type person. I'm an emotional eater. I'll just constantly eat and eat and eat and eat just to fill that empty void inside myself. And then after I'm done, I'm sad. I'm sad because I just ate a bunch of food and I feel like a pig. So long story short, I didn't feel good. And then now, you know, when I just come home, I do an OMAD type diet. So I go to work, I bring my electrolytes, I pack my water, I have a little bit of chewing gum. And then I just do that until I get home. I don't run to the store. I don't have to search for food. And there's also a reason why I don't pack a lunch. Because if I were to pack a lunch or snacks, I'd have those all gone before about 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock in the morning. And then I'd go searching for food around lunchtime, because I'd be like, oh, I should have had lunch. So I'm going to add that extra food in there. And a needless trip into a store that doesn't have healthy options, like a convenience store in most cases, especially here in Alaska. We don't have that many stores where a truck driver can just pop in and get something healthy for lunch. You know, we have to go to a place like a gas station or vending machines. It's not great options. So if I'm not packing a lunch and I'm not packing snacks and I'm doing a monotonous type job where I'm just sitting and not doing a whole lot for that day, I'm no longer just reaching over and just grabbing food and putting it in my mouth, getting those excess of calories inside me that I don't need. So I just leave it all alone. And if I should get hungry, I just drink some water. And it seems like water really works, or at least electrolytes. It really works. It satiates my entire appetite. As soon as I drink a lot, I am not hungry anymore. It's just kind of funny how that works. I've heard it for many years that we don't necessarily need food. We're just dehydrated, or our body's just craving more water. Some of the funny things we learned throughout the whole process of trying to lose weight, just figuring it out on our own. And I'm not a perfect guy. I don't do everything perfectly. About the only thing I can say I do perfectly is like an OMAD type diet throughout my 5-day work schedule. Because sometimes when I get home, you know, I might have a banana, I might have a snack or a little bag of chips or something like that. And then I will eat an entire ribeye steak. I'll have some reindeer sausage, and then I might have some eggs. But now, in order to make all that work, I have to keep myself in about approximately a 3-hour feeding window. Sometimes that window's smaller, depending on my appetite. But when I get home from work, I'm pretty ferociously hungry. So as soon as I get home, I'm trying to get something in me. I'm trying to get my food ready. And then after that, I'm just going to bed. Then a little while after, I'll be up at about 3 in the morning. And it just seems like a routine for me lately. I don't know why. I don't require nearly as much sleep as I used to. Anywhere from 5, 6 hours of sleep, 7 hours tops. If I get 8 hours of sleep, that's a rare occasion. Hey guys, Big John here in Alaska. I have had an interesting couple of weeks. I did miss last weekend's update. I do apologize about that. But let's see, 2 weeks ago, I did do a 100% carnivore week. And I wanted to see mainly if I was going to lose any weight eating 100% carnivore, or if I was just going to maintain previous weight losses. Now, everything about that week started out pretty good. I had a bunch of eggs. I believe I started on Sunday. I ate like 6 eggs before I went to bed. Then I woke up feeling pretty good. And then, let's see, Monday and Tuesday, I did like an OMAD type days for those days, where I would just go to work. I'd bring my electrolytes and my water and stuff like that with me. And then when I got home at night, I'd have a ribeye steak, maybe some more eggs or a reindeer sausage. And I kept that pretty solid. Now, when I got to Wednesday, that was a little bit different. Because on Wednesday, I wanted to try something different. I wanted to try eating breakfast. I don't normally ever eat breakfast. I've done the majority of my weight loss up to this point, and it's been almost 2 years of doing stuff like this. But I wanted to eat some breakfast, so I made 6 eggs in the morning. I had a little bit of cheese in there, and I was cooking my eggs with ghee. Now, that's something I've actually enjoyed doing, and something I really like using is ghee. I've never used ghee before up until now, and but anyways, I've been using ghee to cook my eggs. I've been having pretty good success with that. I don't even scramble my eggs like normal people do. I just throw my eggs in a pan, and then I just kind of mix them all around. It's kind of like a loose type scramble. And then if I want to throw some cheese in there, I'll just add some cheese or whatnot in there. But I did have a hiccup when it came to Thursday. So apparently I was getting into too much cheese, and that turned into a little bit of a situation because I was having a really hard time pooping. Now, constipation is a thing, especially when we start getting into dairy products. But the one thing I did notice, since I wasn't eating a whole lot of fiber like I used to, it was really easy to get over the whole constipation type thing. There was like a whole day or so where I didn't go to the bathroom at all. And then when I was able to get a movement, it wasn't like trying to remove a plug. It was still uncomfortable, but it did come out quite nicely, so to speak. Now, something else I've been talking to other carnivores about, and other people that are doing a similar type diet to me, a meat-based type diet, is that we don't really require nearly as much sleep as we used to. I'm good at 5 hours of sleep. I try to get about 6, 7 hours of sleep, but most of the time, especially this time of year, I'm wide awake at like 3:30 in the morning. So I might go to bed around 8, 9 o'clock, and then I'm just up and I'm ready to go. Now, the problem I've been having is when you wake up that early in the morning, there's really not a whole lot to do. It's pretty quiet in the house, and things are, you're just trying to be quiet. You can't really do anything. You can't really make audible type videos like this either because, I have to project my voice, and it can be quite annoying to other people in the house that are actually trying to sleep. But that has been a problem for me. It seems like for months that I'm just wide awake at the weirdest hours. And it's not like insomnia type stuff. It's just I got plenty of sleep. So now this past week has just basically been a regular weight loss type maintenance week. I haven't really been focusing on 100% carnivore. I do like to do like a meat-based type diet. So no matter what, every single day of the week, I'm always consuming a lot of meat at the end of the day. So how I've lost the majority of my weight throughout this entire process is with either fasting or an OMAD type diet. The carnivore diet hasn't really provided me a lot of weight loss, even when I've done it really, really strict. So I think that's something important to talk about. But I know a lot of people that have had some really good weight loss results just eating only meats and fats. And I'm guessing it's because I might not be eating enough fat. That could be part of the problem. So I was thinking about upping the fat intake and seeing how that works, but I'm not quite sure if that's or how I'm going to go about that, because I usually just get the fats in my meats that I buy, and that's about it. I'm not adding in a whole lot of extra stuff. I might add some butter once in a while or some ghee, But I haven't really considered going out and just buying like a bag of fat trimmings or something like that, making little fatty snacks, because I've tried bacon. Bacon seems to stall me no matter what. And for the last, oh, it seems like month or so, maybe 3, I don't know exactly the time, but it just seems like I've been in this one particular weight where I've just been locked in. So I'm anywhere in between 261 pounds to 267 pounds. It really depends on which day of the week, how much stress I might have been going through. And I have been going through a lot of just random type stress in the last 2 weeks. As you can probably hear in my voice, I'm just having a hard time getting the words out. But about a week and a half ago, I did sell our yellow Jeep to a gentleman. He lives out in the valley. Him and his son wanted to use it so they can get up to their camp. I was more than happy to sell this Jeep. I am suffering from a little bit of neuropathy, so running a Jeep with the small foot pedals was kind of hard here in the city. So I wanted to get another Jeep, which is basically what I did almost immediately after getting rid of that one. And I've been working on that thing, just seems like nonstop since I got it. Jeeps are Jeeps. They're going to break down. They're going to have problems. And then as soon as I started getting into my project with this new Jeep Cherokee, which I was hoping to be a lot of fun, but it just seems like I got a lot of stuff to do to this Jeep before I can even get it, basically roadworthy around town. My wife's Jeep started having problems. It started dumping coolant, so I had to get that thing taken care of right away. And that was like my priority, especially if I decide to take this work trip up to Nome for the entire summer. She has to have a good vehicle. So she's got her red Jeep, my pickup truck, and potentially this other Jeep out there to fall back on, plus my son's minivan, which will all come in handy. But if I'm not in town, I'm going to have a hard time managing that situation from way up north. But that wasn't even the biggest part of the problem. The biggest part of the problem was once the vehicle got into the shop, we started finding all kinds of different other issues with her Jeep. And the total bill was pretty close to the amount of money I paid for my new Jeep. So we're looking at a bill of about $5,000. That's not little bitty type money. But I think the most ironic part about this is that if I wasn't getting healthier and losing the weight and improving so much, especially in the workforce, that we wouldn't have the funds to do stuff like this. And there was a time where we were just flat broke. I'm just trying to get healthy, trying to get my life back, get off the CPAP machine. I mean, I don't even know what I'm going to do. I got so many CPAP masks collected in my room, and I got about 3 different CPAP machines. I'm not sure what to do with them. I don't even know if we're allowed to post them on Facebook for sale, but I'm gonna have to do something with them. I'm just tired of them just hanging around, because I really don't plan on putting the weight back on. And there's another thing, the expense of clothes. Since I started doing all of this, that's another stressor. I'm at another point where, yeah, my weight's been maintaining for about a month, but my clothes just keep getting baggier and bigger. I mean, I need to go buy more t-shirts. I really need to start exercising. I'm still going to wait to start exercising until my 2-year anniversary, and that'll be coming up sometime here in May. So we're going to have to play that one by ear. But I do plan on exercising. Even if I go to Nome, I'm going to plan on walking some more, maybe just to get around town instead of, trying to find a ride somewhere. Because for the most part, up in Nome, Alaska, you can walk to most anything. It just takes you a few minutes, and it's not that big of a deal. But another thing we did throughout the week, or I was outside playing with the new grill. So I got this new grill. It's made by Next Grill. I had absolutely no idea that it wasn't a regular propane gas grill. I needed a new grill anyways, because we just trashed our last one, and it did have to go to the dump. But this Next Grill is it's a strange type grill. It requires power, which was something I didn't realize when I bought it. I just saw it at Home Depot. It was about $250, and I'm like, oh, okay, get in the truck. We went and paid for it, put it in the truck, and brought it home. And it sat out there for quite a while. We didn't even have propane until I went and got some. But yeah, I went out there, started looking at it. I couldn't even figure out how to turn this thing on. This is the first gas grill I think I've ever owned where I actually had to read the instructions. But it's a crazy little device. It's more like an outdoor type oven. So I had to run an extension cord from my entryway on out and get it plugged into the unit. And that powers this little panel on the front of it. And that's where I can actually choose my temperatures and my settings. It's pretty darn complicated for a gas grill. I'm not sure why it's so complicated, but the new generation of children that are running around these days, I'm pretty sure they'll be able to pick it up pretty quick and understand how it works. But it's only got one knob and it just spins endlessly, but it's for, you know, picking out certain things. And then you press a couple different buttons for modes and get to choose your temperature. But the one thing that's neat about it is it does have like Wi-Fi connection, also has Bluetooth, so it can Bluetooth like temperatures and stuff like that to your phone, similar to this new oven that we got behind us. But I just thought that was kind of interesting. It did make some pretty amazing food. I enjoyed that a lot. But yeah, that's just something I'm gonna have to mess with. I'll probably try showing it off a little bit better here when it starts warming up a little bit. But it seems like the most common weight that I've been seeing over the last week, maybe 2 weeks, has been 264.5. I mean, that weight has almost been haunting me because it does go up and down. So I've seen it drop low, but I've never seen it drop below 260 pounds. That'll probably be my next, you know, milestone to get through, is get down below 260 pounds and just stay there for a period of time. But it's just amazing that it wasn't long ago, you know, that just getting under 300 pounds was a goal of mine, and then just so on and so on down the ladder. But yeah, it's just amazing, you know, how this has all worked. Yeah, with little to no exercise, I haven't had to really struggle to get the weight off, and I've been doing pretty good just doing what I've been doing lately. Now, something else we did try in the last 2 weeks was a rack of lamb. It was a funny story. My wife's an Instacart shopper, so she was out Instacart shopping. And then the delivery she had just happened to be for an elderly lady's birthday. But there was a pharmaceutical type product that was involved. And when she got to the residence, nobody was answering the door. So she had to do the whole rigmarole, get a hold of Instacart, because there was a prescription. Somebody has to be present. You have to show an ID type thing before you can hand over anything or leave anything at the house. But this lady had a rack of lamb in the order, and then when you can't complete the order, you have to get a hold of Instacart, and Instacart just says you can either keep it or you can donate it, you know, etc., because these stores don't take back perishable items. So that was like the first rack of lamb we ever had in the house. And I cooked that up here in the stove behind me, which came out freaking amazing. And I was messing around with the broiler. So I broiled it on each side for about 5 minutes. Then I had to, you know, put a little temperature probe in there and finish it off for a little bit until it was perfect. But I let it rest for about 10 minutes after it cooked. And I mean, I ate almost this entire rack of lamb. My wife had maybe one or two, you know, pieces of it, but I was just mowing down on this rack of lamb. It was just so good, and it had a little bit of a gamey flavor, but it was just amazing. And the only seasoning I used was garlic salt. Redmonds garlic salt was what I used. All right, something else I wanted to mention is that, you know, I talked a little bit about trying to improve some of the snack options in the house and some of the food, even trying to find, you know, just a little bit better stuff for my family. And that way, you know, my kids can start feeling better, and they have been improving. Something else that has also happened that's been pretty dramatic here in the last couple of weeks is my wife's weight loss. She has been losing weight consistently for the last several weeks. She's been doing great. She's actually at the gym right now, getting her groove on. I'm at home with the children, taking care of the animals, taking care of the house, recording this video, also editing some other videos. But yeah, she's got some great weight losses that's going on. And I'm not going to just blast it out there what she's weighing, because I don't think that's appropriate. You know, I can see it. I can see it every day. You know, she comments about my weight loss all the time. I think it's okay that I can comment about hers without getting into too specific details. But she has been upping her intake of meats and fats, animal products. She's getting into a lot less garbage, you know, takeout foods. Her weight loss is another one of those great off-scale victories. You know, hopefully I maybe maybe not have part to do with that. But women have this uncanny ability to change their bodies. I will never second guess a woman's ability to change themselves in the blink of an eye, especially when they're a little bit stressed. Another kind of not me off-scale victory is a good friend of mine here in town. She's been going strict carnivore. She's been really, really stricter than I've ever been. But she lost 30 pounds. She lost 30 pounds doing an egg fast. Only like a 5-day egg fast. And I was just ecstatic. I was like, wow, she's been doing so great. She's losing weight. She's a big girl. I'm so proud of her. And one of my old employers just called me this evening to talk about some of the discussions me and him had, because he had all these chronic pains in his body. He had stomach issues. He had issues in his knees, in his hands. And then all of a sudden he called me. He's like, hey, I started doing that. I started, he's not doing like a carnivore diet, but he's doing a severely low carb type diet. He's still taking like fiber and probiotics. And I'm like, hey man, I don't care as long as you're improved. But he's like, yeah, he's like, I feel like a totally different person now. I got rid of all the sugars. I got rid of all the pasta and all the other stuff that I used to eat. And I just feel amazing. He was like, you were so right when you were talking about that stuff. And, I don't know if you'd ever consider doing something like the carnivore diet, but he has been, doing the same thing, at least a meat-based diet. And that's where I'm kind of falling in line. As a meat-based diet, it just works. It works for a lot of reasons. For one, for me, it gives me just a little bit of variety. It also gives me opportunities to just say, hey, whatever, I'm going to have a good time today. Not everybody wants to do that. Some people want to be really, really strict all the time, just eat meats and fats. And I say that's awesome, because it's anti-inflammatory. It's one of those things that if I were to be diagnosed with cancer today, that would probably be, the starting point, that I would just say the heck with everything else. If I want to live at all, I'm just going to eat a strict carnivore diet. I'm going to eat nothing but ribeye steaks or nothing but hamburger patties, just the fattiest type meats that I could possibly get my hands on. But I'm not diagnosed with cancer. I don't plan on being diagnosed with cancer. And it hurts my feelings when I hear anybody having issues with cancer, because cancer is just such a horrible thing. But all right, guys, that's about all I got for this week. And I do hope to see you in the next one.